Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. To get ourselves a treat.
Hello everybody, this is Nico from Let's All Go to the Lobby. T-Kettle couldn't be here today, so it's just me doing this little intro for our interview with the cast of Paranormal Activity. Every time I watch these or listen to these podcasts where they interview people, they always do these really long introductions, and I'm always like, just get to the interview. So I'm not going to do a long introduction, but I will discuss it more after the interview, so you can stick around for that. I will apologize up front, though, for some of the audio. We did have some audio problems during the interview, which we'll get into after the interview is done. But for right now, just enjoy the interview with Katie Featherston and Micah Sloat. What's up, everybody? This is the Let's All Go to the Lobby movie podcast. I'm here with my co-host, T-Kettle. What's up, T-Kettle?
Hey, how's it going?
We have a very special episode today. We are here with the Paranormal Activity people. That's right. Micah Sloat and Katie Featherston. How you guys doing today?
Hey guys, we're doing good.
Doing great, man.
Doing great. It's a little early, but we're gonna make it work. Sound good?
Yeah.
Duty
this is
calls.
great.
Duty calls. So, this is the 10-year anniversary of Paranormal Activity, right? Well, it's the 10-year anniversary of the release. You guys filmed it actually in 2007. Is that correct?
2006?
No, we filmed it in 2006. It was released at Screamfest in 2007. That was the first.
Independent release.
Yeah,
like
that was the
festival.
first public screening, and then it was released by Paramount 2009.
Oh, wow. So this is technically like the 14-year anniversary, right? Technically for you guys?
I posted something on Instagram and I was like, 10 years of knowing this guy, and then I looked at it later and I was like, no, I've actually known you way longer than 10 years.
Wow. So I have to ask you, I know this is a simple question, but when you were walking down the street, you saw an ad for this random movie that Oren Peli was doing. What if you could go back in time and tell yourself that this is going to be one of the biggest horror franchises of all time?
It was going to make $200 million.
What would you guys say with a $15,000 budget too?
I would definitely not go back in time and tell myself
Yeah.
that. I would have just let myself do my thing,
Yep.
and then maybe after the movie came out, I'd come back and be like, "Nice job, dude."
Sounds about right. You guys up? Of course.
It's very early for T-Kettle. It's very early.
I did that on purpose just to trip him out. All right, I got a heavy question for you guys. Okay, so horror is kind of reflective of what goes on in today's society. When the atomic age was happening with nuclear war and stuff like that. Yeah. More monster films of the 50s and stuff would come out about that. What do you think the resurgence of the found footage genre with Paranormal Activity signified in today's culture?
Well, I think that, leading up to Paranormal coming out, there were a lot of movies that were really very in your face and gruesome. And those movies are really, fun and certainly have a place in our I'm oftentimes a fan of them. But I don't know, I think there was something about letting all that stuff go and really allowing a movie to get into your imagination. And with a movie like Paranormal Activity, there was, the scares could kind of be individualized because a lot of what you were afraid of as an audience member was happening in your own head. It was the anticipation. And so, and also just watching a couple kind of break down and disintegrate in front of you is kind of an interesting thing to look at.
And as far as the relationship to the public sort of zeitgeist, I would say that I think that the resurgence of interest in spirituality is mirroring a broader interest that's emerging in the collective, which is this desire for true spirituality, not sort of a whitewashed or even perverted version that's presented by a lot of religions. Not to denigrate all religions, but that a lot of them are twisted and are used to control people instead of bring people closer to God. That's just a fact. There's a lot of bad religion out there. So, but there also is a core need for people to have true, authentic spiritual experience. So, the movie is really about the dark side of that. Because there's light and dark. So you can have light spiritual experiences that are very blissful, and you can also have dark ones. And I think that by going into the dark and facing it and working with it instead of putting it in a box and trying to shove it and pretend it doesn't exist, we can actually engage with the dark half of ourselves in a meaningful, aware way, and that actually has a lot of therapeutic value.
Wow, that's some great answers, guys. That was really good.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was-
So what have you guys been up to since after like the sequels?
For me, I've done a little bit of TV, and then I've really, in the past few years, been focusing on trying to produce my own stuff. So I did some music and some smaller projects under my Tex Love Films banner, and I'm trying to take those small projects and sort of work into making a feature. So I'm producing a feature right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I'm also making some. I have some projects in the works. Nothing to announce today, but
You gotta give us that exclusive.
but yeah, I did, since the movie came out, I got my master's degree in transpersonal psychology, which is
Yeah, right.
where some of the previous
That's why
answer
I answer
came.
the question first, so then he can follow up with the fact that he got like a freaking grad degree.
Yeah, so this stuff is really, I think, not only important to me, but as I've said before, important to like all of us as a collective.
Yeah.
And I'm doing work in this arena. I'm trying to bring more awareness to some of these things and take out some of these ideas and put them out there. So that's what I'm working on.
That's awesome, guys. And one last question. Besides Paranormal Activity, what are some other found footage horror films that you guys love? Because Paranormal Activity was really the resurgence of this type of genre, and it really catapulted this genre into the next level.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Blair Witch, man. When I saw that thing I was like, wait, is that real?
Yeah,
And it
because
was-
they didn't show the cast list afterwards.
Yeah, and they like, if I don't know, people who were there at that time and remember what that was like. There was no found footage before that. You didn't know what was going on, so people were freaking out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't they do the same thing with Paranormal Activity where they had like a black screen?
Yeah, for like 2 minutes, they didn't have your guys' names up there. I had to wait for actually 2 minutes to see that.
I mean, that just makes it more realistic, though.
Yeah.
What about you? Any found footage? I know you said you're not like huge into horror, or like ironically, or it scares you.
It definitely scares me. I mean, I think my favorite found footage would be Blair Witch, but I mean, my favorite horror in general would be Candyman. That's the one I watched over and over and over growing up.
You excited for the remake?
You know, we'll see. I don't. Is Tony Todd in it?
I don't think so. I actually, I met Tony Todd. I interviewed him. You weren't there,
Yeah.
and he told me he wasn't going to be like a real part of it. He said maybe in some capacity, but
We'll see. I mean, I'll give it a shot. I have a hard time. Tony Todd is Candyman, so I have a hard time. I would have a hard time, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll give it a fair shot.
all right, sounds good. Any final questions here, T-Kettle?
You guys got a favorite movie in general? I gotta know.
Favorite movie in general? That's a tall order. That's a tall order here.
One movie. What is it?
I mean, favorite movie is hard because there's so many different kinds of movies that I love. But the one movie growing up that I could watch a million times and that I still watch to this day is called The Sure Thing, starring John Cusack and Daphne Zuniga and Anthony Edwards, and it's fantastic. And if I had been the right age in the 80s to play that role, I would have knocked it out of the park.
That's right.
Fortunately, I was like 4 when it was made.
You still could have pulled it off.
and I kind of dislike the favorite question too, just because it's weird to compare genres and different types of movies, and like weird to compare like film noir to animation and things like that. Like,
Exactly.
I don't know how to do that really. So I will say that one movie that when I was a kid we had a VCR. We didn't have a lot of tapes. And one of the tapes that we did have was Casablanca. So I was
okay.
like 6.
Bergman,
Yeah,
nice.
and I was like 6 years old. I'm just like watching Casablanca over and over again. It was so great because it really ingrained good filmmaking
Yeah.
in like what it makes. Because that film's awesome.
Still holds up.
Oh,
100%.
yeah. And if you define a classic as a movie that, or anything that piece of art you can experience over and over again and get something new out of each time. I mean, every single time I've watched that film, I see something new and I learn something new. It's amazing. So
That's what makes a great film.
All right, one final thing. We have a little catchphrase we say at the end of every podcast. It's want to say it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like see you, but really slurred. Our friend goes like "suh" every time he says see you, and we just make fun of it. So if you guys could give us a little "suh," that'd be great. "Suh." All right, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Appreciate it. We came here just for you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so that was it. That was our interview with Katie Featherston and Micah Sloat, the stars of Paranormal Activity. Katie Featherston, who has gone on to do some sequels for Paranormal Activity. We actually recorded this back in February. So we are a little late to the game. So you might be asking, why did we post it so late? Well, we didn't really know when to post it. We're like, when could we do an interview with the Paranormal Activity people? When can we post it? You know, as a matter of fact, if you go on Nico9 and look at the old video we did, we tease something big coming to the podcast channel. This interview is it. And that was forever ago. So we didn't really know when to post it. We were thinking to maybe save it for October, for more Halloween time. But the reason we are posting this now is because there's kind of a reason to. I, Nico, have posted a new short film, a new short found footage horror film that I made. And, we kind of thought that this would be a good opportunity to post this now, and maybe we can kind of release them as companion pieces. And I'm also going to release another found footage themed video on my Nico9 channel. So there's going to be a lot of found footage related, found footage themed content, if you will. The found footage horror film that I did is called Vlog Number 1, and you can check that out in the link description. One great thing about the film is that it finally gave us an excuse to post this interview, which we've been sitting on for a long time. But diving deeper into the actual interview, it was a pretty fun interview. We arrived to the convention center because they were here for a convention around where we are, and we went there at 9 a.m. to interview them. We didn't really know what was going on. We were a little disoriented because we weren't used to waking up so early. But we go into the convention center, and here's the thing with this convention. I kind of feel bad because I was really kind of harping on the fact that there are juggalos at this convention. It's not a juggalo convention, but it basically is a juggalo convention. And I hope I didn't steer Katie Featherston or Micah Sloat from returning to that convention or anything, but I'm not a juggalo or anything. T-Kettle's not a juggalo. Let's just throw that out the way. But we came in there at 9 a.m., right? We're waiting to interview the cast of Paranormal Activity, and there are two juggalos in full clown makeup just passed out on the couch, drinking beer still, and blasting music at 9 a.m. And I'm just like, where are we right now? It was very surreal. And then the guy, because we had press passes, our coordinator took us to one location where we thought the interview was going to be, and then we set up all of our equipment, and then he's like, oh, no, the interview is somewhere else. And I'm like, okay, so we had to last minute break down our equipment and then bring it to the new room and set it all back up in a hurry. And that's why the audio isn't that great. We couldn't balance it out for their voices when we passed the mic to them because we didn't have a lot of time to really test it out. So we were on a schedule. So we apologize for that. That's why the audio isn't great. But anyway, thank you to Katie Featherston and Micah Sloat for doing the interview. I really liked Mika's answers a lot. It's interesting how he dived deep into the religious aspects. I don't agree with him 100% on everything he said, but I do appreciate his very thoughtful answer, and he actually gave us the time and effort. You know, a lot of people come in here with these shitty microphones and shitty laptops equipment, and we're just two kids just trying to make a living here, and they gave us their time and they actually answered the questions with effort. You know, they weren't brushing us off, and that's pretty awesome. So thank you to you guys. Also, don't forget to check out my short film, Vlog Number 1. The link is in the description. Please check that out. Subscribe to the Let's All Go to the Lobby YouTube channel. And if you're free and you're willing, you should subscribe to Nico9 and my Nico short film channel. Everything is in the featured channels tab. So thank you again to Katie Featherston and Micah Sloat for the interview. And thank you guys for watching. And